So let's talk about inflation in Iran. It's a topic you hear about all the time, right? But the explanations we get often feel like they're just scratching the surface. Today, we're going to go deeper, and I mean way deeper, by unpacking the work of Dr. Hamid Hosseini to really understand the powerful structural forces that are actually driving things. Dr. Hosseini's entire analysis really kicks off with this one single urgent question that's just hanging over the entire Iranian economy. Is hyperinflation inevitable? It's a huge question, and to even begin to answer it, we have to look past the easy headlines. Now, you've probably heard the usual suspects blamed for this, right? Sanctions, government spending, printing too much money. And look, Dr. Hosseini's work isn't saying those things are wrong, but it argues they're just way too simple. They miss the really complex, interconnected reality of what's happening on the ground. So we're going to tackle this almost like a detective story. We're going to follow the clues piece by piece. We'll look at 3 different kinds of inflation, see how they all weave together into this big structural web. And then, at the very end, we'll come back to that huge question. Sound good? Let's dive in. First things first, to solve this puzzle, we can't just pull out a standard economics textbook. We have to see how these big economic forces actually behave inside Iran's very unique economic system. It's all about context, not just abstract theory. All right, clue number 1, demand pull inflation. Now, the simple version of this is too much money chasing too few goods. But as you're about to see, the real mystery here isn't just about how much money there is. It's about where that money actually ends up. And here's that classic definition. It's pretty straightforward. When tons of people want to buy stuff and there just isn't enough to go around, prices naturally go up. This is our starting point. But now, let's see how this simple idea gets complicated in the real world. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. In a, let's say, healthy economy with more equality, when new money enters the system, it tends to spread out. People use it to buy things, which tells businesses, hey, make more stuff. But in a really unequal economy, that new cash gets concentrated right at the top. It doesn't fuel production because most people still can't afford to buy more. Instead, it just fuels speculation, buying up assets like property or cars, not to use them, but just to flip them for a higher price later. And in Iran, Dr. Hosseini shows how this effect is put on steroids. You have massive inequality and powerful financial monopolies, which means any new money just gets sucked into these speculative black holes. On top of that, the economy is geared toward exporting raw materials, which actually creates shortages of goods at home, and it relies heavily on imports for basic necessities. So the bottom line is, just printing more money doesn't help. It just feeds the speculative machine instead of the productive one. Okay, let's move on to our second clue, and you'll start to see how these pieces connect. This one isn't about how much people want to buy, it's about the other side of the coin, the rising costs for the people trying to make the stuff in the first place. So again, the textbook idea is simple. If it costs more to get the flour and cheese to make a pizza, the price of that pizza is going to go up. That extra cost gets passed right on to you, the consumer. Makes sense. And here's where we see the web starting to form. In Iran, producers are getting hit from all sides. They face volatile prices for raw materials they need from abroad, and sanctions make it incredibly hard to get key technology. But the internal problems are just as bad. That same speculation we just talked about, it drives up the price of land and buildings, making it way more expensive just to have a factory. Then, high bank interest rates on loans get baked into the final price of everything. It's a total squeeze. This brings us to our third and final clue, and this one is all about the money itself. It's not just about the price of goods, it's about whether people even trust the currency they're using to buy them. Yeah, this kind of inflation is really a crisis of confidence. It's what happens when people look at the money in their bank account and think, this is going to be worth less tomorrow. So what do? They scramble to trade it for something safer. Foreign currencies, gold, anything that feels more stable. In Iran's case, sanctions choke off the supply of currencies like the dollar, which only makes them more valuable and desirable. This creates this absolutely vicious cycle. People rush to dump their Iranian rials to buy dollars to protect their life savings, which makes the rial's value drop even more. This then encourages people to move their money out of the country entirely, and even leads to smuggling goods out of Iran just to get paid in a stable foreign currency. Demand for the rial just collapses. So there we have it, our 3 big clues: demand pull, cost push, and currency inflation. But the most important part of this whole analysis, the real aha moment, is realizing that these are not 3 separate problems. They're all tangled together in one big, complex structural web. This right here is the absolute core of Dr. Hosseini's argument. You can't fix one of these without addressing the others, because they all feed into each other in a relentless loop. They're not the disease, they're the symptoms of a much, much deeper structural problem in the economy. So, how did this web even get woven? Well, the analysis traces it back to a series of policy decisions over time. A move away from state economic planning, loosening price controls. This created the perfect environment for unregulated monopolies and speculative finance to just explode. This shifted the economy towards exporting raw materials, which then made the whole country dependent on earning foreign currency. The end result? An entire system that is incredibly fragile and just brittle, waiting for a shock. And that brings us to this incredibly powerful metaphor from the author. The economic structure itself is a palace of cards, built on this very fragile, interconnected foundation. In this view, external pressures like sanctions aren't the thing that caused the problem, they're just the flick that can send the whole unstable structure tumbling down.
And all of this leads us right back to where we began. We've followed the clues, we've seen how they connect, so now it's time to face that final, really difficult question about what comes next.
So if you're gonna take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Dr. Hosseini argues that when you have an economy that is structured to reward making money from financial speculation, more than it rewards actually producing the goods and services that people need, well then inflation isn't some accident. It's a built-in feature of the system. And so the analysis doesn't give us a simple yes or no. Instead, it leaves us with this final, really haunting question. It flips the whole debate around. The question is no longer, will hyperinflation happen? But rather, if all these underlying structural problems we've just walked through continue to get worse, what force is there that could possibly stop it? And that's a thought for you to consider.